Alright, go ahead.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the third episode of the Fall Speaker Series, Keep It 100, Rubbing Shoulders with Giants. My two friends, along with our fathers, decided to do something similar to a TED Talk, where we bring in people from the community to talk about athletics and certain aspects of life. This series airs on Zoom every Sunday at 7:30 p.m. In this series, you will have the opportunity to rub shoulders with Giants, listen to their life stories, and their journey to get to where they are now. As the audience, you will be muted, but you will be able to ask questions in the chat about each guest that we have. Our chat monitors tonight will bring up your questions throughout the talk. Audience in the chat, if you could please let us know who you are, where you're from, and how you heard about our program, we would love to welcome you. If you or someone you know would like to be a guest on our show, please contact one of us. This week's speaker is Khalid Lewis. Our Keep It 100 team in the audience are so glad you could take the time to join us this Sunday night. This program started out in hopes that we in the audience could have the distinct opportunity to rub shoulders with some giants and learn from them, so we can be better leaders and people in our communities and respective callings in our lives. I would just like to share a short bio of our speaker tonight. Mr. Lewis grew up in Trenton, New Jersey, where he continues to reside today. As a youngster, he played multiple sports, excelling at many of them, often being the most athletic on his teams. His competitive drive led him to Trenton Catholic Academy, where he helped bring the school its first boys state championship after a 20-year drought. His success led him to earning athletic scholarships to play Division I basketball in college. Mr. Lewis has earned both his bachelor's and master's degree and is currently working at the Christina Sykes Academy. Mr. Lewis, welcome and thanks for joining us tonight.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me.
Yep.
That was a real complimentive intro. Thank you.
So, first question. Can you tell us about your childhood and what it was like growing up in Trenton?
Everybody could say their childhood was rough coming up in Trenton. But I guess everybody has their own unique story. I came in a dual parent household. I had both my parents in my life. Most of my younger years, I went to private school. I went to Trenton Catholic Academy. I want to say since 5th grade. So I went there from 5th grade to graduating from there in high school. I grew up with 3 other siblings. I actually got 3 more on top of those 3. So I got a total of 7 siblings. I played basketball and football. I grew up playing with my childhood best friends, Reggie Coleman, your brother Reggie Coleman, Franz Massonet. So I grew up playing basketball and football. I played football in Hopewell. Played football in Hopewell. I played in Little Tornadoes. I played in Bristol, PA. So I played a little bit of everywhere. And then once I finally got to high school, I finally put the football down and committed to basketball. Not by choice. TCA ended up not having a football team. They canceled their football team the year I got there. So honestly, I probably wouldn't have went there if I knew they weren't gonna have a football team. I probably would have ended up at like Pennsbury or something. But everything happened for a reason. So I ended up staying at TCA. We had a great 4 years there. As I said before, we went to the state championship. We went to the state championship every year. We finally won the state championship my junior year, and won a TOC. I guess that sums up my childhood.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Sebastian, any questions?
Yes. So, could you share with the audience one to two key events that happened in your early life that helped shape you?
Um, I'll probably start with one was my just me learning to be independent. I had a rough upbringing with my father. Um, so a lot of times I had to when it came to like, and everybody knows my dad. My dad is big. He's basketball head in Trenton. Great coach. Um, do a lot of great stuff around sports and especially basketball in the city. But me and him didn't have the best relationship. Um, so when it came to me, you know, having somebody on my back, making sure I'm doing the right thing, and not saying that I didn't have those people because I could think of numerous people, but it's different when it's coming from your own father. And I can say I didn't really have that because of our relationship. So me being independent and knowing what I wanted to do, having that drive, I think that was our relationship made me be that much more stronger, and much more independent, and going for what I wanted. And that was to play basketball at the next level, and get an education. I mean, just like everybody else, I wanted to go to the NBA, but like I said, everything happens for a reason. I never thought I would get a master's degree. So I think that was the best thing that came out of that. And then I'll say the next thing. Can you say the question again? You said what was some of the things that?
I said, what were like maybe one or two things, key things that shaped you in your early years?
All right, um, yeah, I'll just leave it at that.
No, that was good. Thank you.
Yep.
Mr. Reggie, you got any questions?
Sure. Khalid, so you said that had you known that this, of course, Trenton Catholic wouldn't have had, you may have not gone there if they didn't have football. If you didn't
Right.
have football. At that point in your life, do you think you were a better football player than basketball player? And maybe your future was in football?
Some would say, some would say. But I definitely enjoyed playing football. I definitely think I would have been able to play at the next level, both sports. That was always what I wanted to do. And I looked at guys like I remember when I was younger, just looking at guys like I always used to look up players that played basketball and football. Like you think about Donovan McNabb, Charlie Ward. I don't know. The list could go on, but I always knew it was possible, so I wanted to be one of those guys that could do it. And I said Pennsbury because my grandmother lived in Pennsylvania, so I would have been able to stay there and go to school there, and I knew they had a good basketball and football program. So
Did you ever consider transferring to Pennsbury, or did you ever get the football itch again?
nah, so I'm sorry, I was getting a phone call. Let me put mine on Do Not Disturb. So I considered it all the way up to once I got to TCA, I wasn't leaving because I was there. Like I said, I was there with my friends. I was comfortable. Those are the guys that I grew up playing with all my life. And honestly, if I got the chance, I probably wouldn't change it because I made numerous relationships, numerous friendships, some certain things that I probably will regret not taking advantage of. but I do get that itch sometimes. So actually, I'm playing flag football right now. I had a flag football game this morning. Last week we had 3 flag football games on Sunday. So next weekend we have 4. So I just got back into that. So I got that. I finally got a chance to get back on the field. So that was fun. That was fun.
Okay.
Yeah.
No regrets, right?
Nah, no regrets. Like I said, I'm a firm believer everything happened for a reason, man. It was probably I don't it is what it is, man.
Gotcha.
Coach Tony, any questions?
Yes, Khalib. Obviously, and we'll get to that, I guess, at some point that you're at the academy. But I'm just kind of thinking back, like, were there teachers back when you were a student that kind of influenced you to make you want to be a part of the academy there and the school experience and helping other students?
Not so much teachers, but I did have numerous mentors in my life. Like I said, that's why I said I can't say that I did it all by myself, because I didn't. I had numerous people in my corner. And that could go all the way back to, shoot, I got to start with Jersey Heat days. Jersey Heat days, I had Big Reg, I had Mr. Whitmore, I had Mr. Spears, and just to go on, I had Matt Pauls, Coach Fauci. A lot of my coaches had a big impact on my life, more so than I would say teachers.
Okay. And what was it about those coaches, if I can ask? What made them so special in your life?
Those relationships. I think that's the one of the things that people don't value that much. I think relationships are super important. And I think that way when I'm with the kids at school. I think relationships are very important. And like I said, especially because I didn't have that relationship with my father. I grew up playing with my dad as a kid, playing for my dad. And that, I think that kind of had a bad impact on our relationship. But being able to have that relationship with somebody else kind of filled that void at times. So yeah.
Hey, thank you.
Yep.
Coach Wilson, any questions?
Yes, Khalib, during your childhood, do you have any friends who challenged you to get a better basketball player?
Yeah, I'll say one of my best friends, France. Like you said, I think you guys had him on here probably a month or 2 ago. We grew up as rivals. Every league, even Reggie Coleman. We grew up as rivals. Like we all didn't start off playing together. We started off playing against each other in the Boys and Girls Club. That's when Trenton was Trenton. We had the Boys and Girls Club League. We had the West Ward. We had the Martin House. We had Cowwater Park. It was numerous leagues. We had Trenton Powell. It was numerous leagues where we all competed at, and we were all on different teams. So we always battle, and I think that's why we all once we all got on the same team. We knew how to get the best out of each other as well, because we all got the best out of each other as youngsters. So I think my toughest battles were with my friends.
Yeah, always friends help to challenge, to get better. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I would just add that to Khalid's point, those were, since I've been at the Boys and Girls Club 22 years, those were like the best basketball league years we've ever had. when those guys were coming up and coming through. Very good
I miss,
basketball, very competitive. And the three guys he mentioned, they were always those three teams were always competing for a championship. So it was pretty cool to see
yeah,
them come together in high school and play together.
yeah, definitely fun. I still got my grandfather. He still has some videos and stuff on his computer. I think probably like 3 years ago, I actually went and I looked through like his files and stuff. He had picked videos, and I think Reg was on the black team. I was on like I think green team. It was fun though. Those were some good years.
For sure.
All right, now we're going to move on to the next topic, which is your college years. So can you talk about how, obviously you went Division I. Can you talk about like the recruiting process and like how the experience was for you?
Recruiting process it was cool at first. You know, as a kid, you just wait for those letters. You wait for, you know, those Division I coaches reaching out to you. You wait for you wait for those days. Those days you wait for. But I guess I'll say it actually ended up getting rough. When you have numerous people trying to make a decision for you. So it kind of got rough. I wanted to go to Rider University. That's where I wanted to go. That was my first offer. I think they offered all of us. Me, Dondre, Reg. I mean, not Reg. France. I think that was like a lot of our first offer. So I really wanted to stay close because, like I said, I was a family person. I wanted to stay close to my mom, stay close to my family. I had all my siblings were growing up and stuff. I wanted to be around. And being at Rider, I would have been able to do that. But something happened, and Rider ended up not recruiting me anymore. So I ended up going to Delaware. But the process was fun. It was fun being able to choose, make your own decision on where you wanted to spend your next 4 years. So it was fun just being able to have those options. Everybody don't really have those options. So being able to choose where I wanted to be was cool.
Yeah, I have a follow-up question to that. So you said like things got rough for you. How did you like maintain to stay focused and like stay driven since things got rough for you?
Because I always kept the end goal in mind. I knew I wanted to. My dream was to go to play Division I basketball, play at the next level, to play as long as I could. So, like I said, I know hiccups were bound to happen on the way. So, just keeping that end goal in sight kept me focused. I also had my grandfather. He's always my voice of reason. So, just listening to him just kept me focused, kept me on track. Kept in mind what I wanted to do in life.
Appreciate it. Sebastian, any questions?
Not as of right now.
John, any questions?
Is John on?
Yeah, I got back in. I'm sorry. I'm gonna pass for now. I don't have any.
I'll go because John got kicked out.
All right.
And John, you can follow me up if you have a question. So Khalid, you talked about a little bit about that recruiting process. Could you talk to us about eventually how did you get to the point of choosing Delaware?
I say while I was getting recruited, a lot of my decision was based on me playing. I wanted to play. and I wanted to play right away. So I did have, like, just thinking about the school size and all that. Like, I had some mid majors, I had some high majors, I had some low majors, and just thinking about those tiers. If I would have went to one of the high major schools that was recruiting me, I may have not played until my sophomore, junior year. And I wanted to, like I said, I wanted to play right away. So Delaware, I came in with a group of, I want to say 6 freshmen. And 4 of them were on the same AAU team. So it was me, a guy from Chicago, and then 4 guys from Richmond. But I knew I was, when I went on my official visit, we all went on our officials together, and I scouted them out a little bit, and I said, I'm playing right away if I go here. And that's where I ended up going. That's how I made my decision. And also Delaware was actually my grandfather was the voice of reason for that. My academics definitely played a role. And University of Delaware is a good academic school as well. So that was where that decision came from.
So my follow-up to that would be, you thought you would play right away, and I believe you did play right away, correct?
Yes.
So how did you get to the point of making the decision to leave Delaware after 1 year to attend LaSalle University?
So after my freshman year, season went past. I went home for, I guess, just for our summer off. We had the first summer term off. So I was home, just hanging with my friends, relaxing. We finally got some time off. And my sister, I have an older sister, she's about a year older than me. She got stabbed. And she was in critical condition. It was just a rough time. And during that time, it was time for me to go back to school. The summer session was beginning. It was time for me to go back. So I called my coach. I let him know what was going on. I told him I wasn't coming back until I found out my sister was okay. And they insisted on that I come back. And I told them I wasn't coming back. So they gave me an ultimatum where they said either I return or either I come back to school or I just don't come back at all. And I told them I wasn't coming back. So they ended up giving me my release papers. And it was like real sudden. It was real sudden. So I was at a point where I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen now. I don't know what to do. But luckily I had some friends, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Alex Klein. I also had my AAU coach. They all came and were in my corner or whatever, and helped me out through that process. And I was able to make a decision with a few other schools as well. So that's how I ended up going to LaSalle.
And you had that same comfort level with LaSalle as you did with Delaware as far as school size, academics, playing time?
Right. It was rough. I dealt with a few injuries at LaSalle. I ended up breaking a bone in my hand. I had turf toe, couple like little nagging injuries, but I was definitely comfortable. Just the distance, actually the distance, being able to get back and forth to home helped out as well too, mentally.
Got you. Thank you. I know I was a little long with that question.
No problem.
It's interesting stuff. Thank you.
Yep, no problem.
I have a follow-up for that.
Oh, my bad.
My fault. Was it the coach that gave you the ultimatum, or was it the college that gave it to the coach?
It was actually my coach, my head coach. My assistant coaches, I feel like they were more understanding, but it was actually my head coach. Yeah, I was confused, and I was like, I didn't understand that they didn't understand why I wasn't ready to come back. But like I said, I think everything happens for a reason. Everything. So
Was that the first disagreement you and your coach had?
pretty much, yeah. Yep. I think that's what threw me off so much, because everything was fine. It was a family issue. I've heard of numerous athletes they haven't returned to school, or I hear about people in the NBA that they don't return because of family issues. And I don't know. I was thrown off.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yep.
Coach Tony, any questions?
First of all, was your sister okay? What was the outcome there?
Yeah, she ended up being okay. She's doing good for herself now. She had a little daughter. She's actually staying with me. I actually got her. So I think I would that. She's doing better for herself.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. And I think we can all understand why you felt this didn't add up with what happened with that coach. I
Right.
don't think anybody here would say you didn't do the right thing, which you did, and the coach should have been responding differently.
For
So
sure.
we're all coaches here on the call and players, so we can understand and identify. So
Appreciate that.
I guess my question would be, on the educational level, it sounded like from the beginning of the conversation, you kind of surprised yourself in that you went on to get your master's degree. So
Yeah.
how did that all come about, and your decision making around that? And I'd love to hear about that.
So it started actually right after me transferring from Delaware to LaSalle. So with the transfer rules, then you had to sit out a year. So they didn't give me a hardship waiver. They actually messed me up in a lot of ways. We were supposed to move into an apartment. They left my name on the lease, so they ran up my credit bill. So all that stuff was left in my name. But I ended up leaving Delaware, went to LaSalle. So I sat out a year, but that actually benefited me academically, because when I sat out there, I still had 3 years of eligibility, but I was ahead a year academically. So by my junior year, basketball-wise, I was graduating from LaSalle, and I had 1 year left for eligibility. And just me wanting to explore what else was out there, I ended up leaving. It was a tough decision, because I probably would have been like the go-to player my senior year at LaSalle. But I just wanted to see what else was out there. So I ended up, I think I took about, 5 official visits to a few different universities. I ended up choosing University of Illinois. And when I left there, I had to go to a school that I wanted to get my master's. That was a part of the deal, like with me leaving. I wanted to go to a school where I could get my master's in 1 year. So I had to figure out what schools had a 1-year master's program. So it came down to University of Illinois and Baylor University. I ended up at University of Illinois. I got my master's in education. And that's how that started. I never thought in my life I would be getting a master's degree. So it was definitely a blessing. For free, too. For free. That was the best part. Me working here at the academy, I work with a lot of people who went to college, graduated, blah, blah, blah. But I was always around like people who were on scholarships and stuff like that. So I hear them talking about their student loans and, talking about Sally Mae calling them. And I was never really aware of all that stuff until I started working here. And I hear like a lot of my coworkers like, yeah, I got to start paying my loans back. I got to start paying this, start paying that. So I never really understood and valued how much my scholarship and all that stuff meant till now.
That's great.
Coach Wilson, any questions?
Khalib, let's go to talk about leadership. When you play the basketball with your friends or you play the basketball at the coach level, do you feel like you are a leader with the team? And how this work with the basketball team?
Do you mean as far as me playing or coaching?
Playing. How is your leader?
So, Big Reg could tell you. My nickname is Leader. So I always took pride in being a leader. When you think about on a basketball court, on the football field, I played point guard. On the football field, I played quarterback, and those are all like leadership positions. Like you're the leader on the floor, you're the leader on the field. So I feel like I was always in that role. And I also think being a leader, one of the biggest qualities of being a leader is just being vocal. And I also take pride in that as well. So.
He's right. I almost mistakenly called him leader a couple times tonight.
I was going to as well, but I know I couldn't.
It's true. And it's what we've called him forever. So that's a good question, Wilson.
Yeah.
Devin, before we move on, I would like to ask him one more question.
Wait, sorry to cut you off. I think Sebastian has one too.
Oh, Sebastian has one. Go ahead, Sebastian.
I do. So you were speaking earlier about getting your master's and like how you never thought that you would achieve that. Could you speak on your experience balancing academics with playing D1 and how like you dealt with it?
It was rough at first as a freshman. Just trying to figure out how to balance my time, how to balance basketball. You have a lot obligations outside of your schoolwork. You got basketball. They want you to do like community service. They want you to go to all these events and stuff and help charity events, help out, and do all this other type of stuff on top of getting your schoolwork and stuff done, traveling and doing all that. But once I figured out how to balance it, what I was good at was looking at my syllabus, figuring out what the work was for that class and getting it done ahead of time. So if I knew we would be traveling or we would be on the road or we had a away game or we had a 3-game stretch or whatever it was, I would knock out all my work before we even took those trips. So I wouldn't have to, we actually had study hall and stuff on the road. But I would never have to go because I always knock my work out before we went. So just I guess time management was a big key. Take advantage of that time that where you could be out or I could be going back home to visit family, or that was time I took advantage of getting my work done so I didn't have to worry about it later on or closer to the due dates.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you.
Yeah.
Khalid, you transitioned through a few schools. It's hard enough to do it once, going off to college. You have a lot of experience between those 3 schools. Is there anything that stands out as something that was like really impactful or memorable for you? I can only imagine, as you said, getting your master's was one of them. Is there anything over your college years that really stands out that's memorable?
Actually, I can't even take credit for this accomplishment. It was actually my teammates' accomplishment. But just being there to witness it was like, it was amazing. It was actually the year I sat out when LaSalle went to the Sweet 16. But just watching that I don't know, just seeing all the school, the whole school behind you, just watching them travel the country. We had watch parties in the gym, watch parties in the theater. It was just amazing just to witness. And it was rough because I actually never got, me personally, I never got the chance to experience that. So I guess it was me seeing them win.
Well, you lived the experience, you just didn't play, right?
Yeah, right.
So when you sat out, were you able to practice at all or no?
Yeah, I did. I was always on the practice team.
Right. So you went through everything. You did all the running.
Yep.
Sweat, blood, and tears, but you just couldn't put the uniform on.
Killed me.
Street clothes, right?
Yep. I was on the bench in street clothes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but it was definitely something to witness.
Right.
Wait, that's because you had to sit out a year, right?
Yeah, it was my transfer year, so I had to sit out a full year.
Right.
Yep.
All right, so now we're going to move on to your career after college. So my first question is, what did you do like right after graduating from Illinois?
So I came home. I was still working out. I hadn't decided if I was gonna continue playing or just hang it up. So that's why I still was working out, still in the gym. Just weighing I talked to a few agents, thinking about a few different deals, but I actually had a lot of talks with my grandfather as well. And just thinking about, I didn't have the best year, my senior year of my college career. So I had to weigh my options. I did, like we said, I received my master's degree. So it was a decision that I needed to make. Was I going to continue playing basketball and take whatever of the little deals that they gave me? Or was I going to start working and gain some work experience because I had a master's degree, but before that point, I had never had a job before. I've never worked before. So I had a master's degree, but a lot of jobs you apply for and all that type of stuff, they ask for, they want to see experience. And I didn't have that. So I ended up making a decision on not playing. And I was still trying to figure out what I was going to do as far as working. And I came, me and Reg actually came up to the school. Reg's girlfriend was working at the academy. And like I said, I didn't have a clue it was here. I had no clue. I lived in the area all my life. I never heard about this school. And I think we ended up visiting her up here one time, and I was just amazed. I'm like, well, what is this? What's going on? Like, I never knew this was back here. And I always messed with her jokingly. I'm like, they got a job up here. Like, let me know. Like, I'll get in here, blah, blah, blah. And I think it ended up being an opening. And she contacted me, and I contacted people I needed to contact, and been here ever since.
Thank you.
Yep.
Sebastian, any questions? You're on mute. Am I tripping?
Nah, he's on mute.
Yeah, hold on. Let me just make sure there's nothing I can. Sebastian? I'll ask you a question while we're trying to get him unmuted.
Yeah.
If I could. I just want to go back before. They nicknamed you leader. You got your degree as part of that name is leadership. So I'm fascinated to know, like, what are the top 3 things you think make a good leader?
I'll say the first thing is just being vocal. I don't know a leader that isn't vocal. You got to be vocal. You got to be able to be the voice of reason. Like, you have to be able to, like I said, as a point guard, as a quarterback, the leader on the floor. Like, you got to be able to talk to every player on the team. You got to be able to get those players to do what you want them to do. And on top of that, you have to, like, you're dealing with so many different personalities, and I think that's what actually helps me as a coach. I got 12 kids I'm coaching, and that's 12 different personalities, 12 different attitudes, 12 different feelings. So I say just knowing how to read each other, read the people you're interacting with. So I said vocal, knowing how to read, and also being transparent. As a leader, sometimes you're always talking. You got to be able to listen as well. So I say being vocal, being transparent, being able to read your teammates, read your players.
Thanks.
Yep.
Sorry about that. It wasn't letting me unmute before. But if I may ask a question now, this has had me thinking. So with like people who are seen as leaders by everybody and all of that, yeah, it takes a lot of, I guess, confidence as a person to be a leader to so many people. If you could recall a defining moment for you when you felt like it was almost your, I wouldn't say responsibility, but I would say you felt like you should be a leader, because it had to start from somewhere in your life. So could you maybe recite when that happened?
That's a good question. I'll probably, if I had to say a point in my life, I'll probably say coaching my kids. When I started at this school, I came in, a lot of my kids, they weren't that good, if I could say it in a good way. They weren't that good. So just coaching them up to, I think I had them for 2 years. It was our second year. We ended up winning a championship at the CYL. But just watching them grow, watching all the work we put in, and our hours we get during the week, our hours and nights in the gym, watching them win a championship, that was a great moment for me, because honestly, I know if it wasn't for me coming and putting that time in, these kids wouldn't have got better. They wouldn't have knew what they know now. So I'll probably say that was a moment for me.
Thank you.
If I may, I won't put you on the spot, but I could say from my relationship and my experience, you've also shown leadership off the court. and not just coaching, but leadership and values that, and the example that you set for your own siblings, your family members. And you talked about your dad's relationship a little bit, and at times how you may have been a father figure for some of your siblings.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, a lot of that type of stuff has defined your leadership.
I appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Okay. So was that like a question, or you was just?
No, I just wanted to piggyback on Sebastian's question. And I know Leader talked about the basketball, but I'm definitely not putting you on the spot, but I wanted the group to know that he's been an example of leadership to more than just the kids he coached.
Mm.
And as a matter of fact, his younger brother, after he saw that Leader got a scholarship and went to school, he got his degree from the College of New Jersey. His younger sister's pursuing hers down at it's in South Jersey, correct?
Montclair,
Oh,
North Jersey.
excuse me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah, I think that definitely was one of them. That was something that hit me early. I knew I had my younger siblings watching me through all of this, all my mistakes, all my trials, all of that. I knew they were watching me the whole time. So, I really just wanted to show them the way. I talked about my sister, my older sister. I actually have her niece. Her niece lives with me. Just trying to keep her on the right track. So, like I said, I'm a family person. I want to see everybody around me do good. So I do what I can and do more.
You most certainly do.
Coach Wilson, any questions?
Yes, Khalid, you mentioned about your senior year was not good in college. So my question is, do you think your senior years affect your career, or you didn't do the extra effort to play in the NBA? Because always as a player, so a coach or whatever, always say it's missing something when I didn't to achieve my goals.
Right. So I guess we can get into more detail about my time at Illinois, just my experience. So when I ended up, it was the sequence of events was crazy. When I committed there, they were on their foreign trip. I forget where they went, but they were on their foreign trip, and I wanted one of the players. It was a crazy time for the university. About I want to say 5 of the players were arrested, and they were suspended for. I think 3 of them got suspended for the year. 2 of them were suspended for I'm not sure how many games. It was like half the season. So it was a rough time, and the team ended up not doing too well. I think we came like the bottom half of the Big Ten. So it wasn't the best experience. And one of the biggest things with transferring is you come into a whole new team, no matter if you're a freshman or you're a senior. I was the new guy. So just coming in, trying to build those relationships. I always talk about valuing relationships. When you transfer, you got to start over. So I had to build those relationships with my new teammates, build those relationships with my new coaches. in a short amount of time. So it was rough. It was definitely rough. Like I said, the year I didn't have a great year at all. So that did have some impact on me having options graduating college. So I'll say, yeah, it definitely affected my decision on continuing my career or starting my job career.
And talking about your job career, could you tell us a little bit about, first of all, how long have you been at Christina Sykes Academy now?
I've been there for 4 years now.
4 years. And could you just tell us a little bit about the school and what you do there?
So just a little bit about the school. It's a boarding school in Trenton, New Jersey. Sounds crazy. It's still crazy to me. But it's a boarding school. It's made for low-income families and single-parent households. So they want to give back. I think that's their biggest mission is to give back and help families in need. I keep getting called.
Oh, no.
He definitely accidentally answered the call.
I think, yeah, he got a call and he wanted to.
He'll come back. We're still on record, so we'll be okay.
So, Dad, is that your final question?
Yeah, that was my question for that segment.
Because I was so confused.
Well, you skipped me and went to Wilson.
No, because you said I'll follow up Sebastian. You followed up Sebastian, so I thought that was.
I just made a statement. It wasn't a question.
Father-son accountability.
Wait, Coach Trent, do you have any more questions for him, or?
Me?
No, Coach Trent.
While we're waiting, if anyone in the audience has a question, put it in the chat. We'll make sure we get it. Leader, you're back.
Sorry about that. I put my phone on do not disturb and everything. I still keep getting calls. I don't know what's going on.
We're getting close to the end now.
Sorry about that.
Start to tell us
No worries.
about the school.
Oh yeah. So yeah, it's for single parent, low income families, low income households. And like I said, it's right in the center of Trenton. I work in the residential area. My title is residential educator. So I'm in the boarding program. When the kids get done their school day, they're actually with me for the rest of their nights until they get up for school in the morning. We have co-curricular activities for them to do every day. I coach the basketball team. I also help with soccer and lacrosse. Yeah, I mean, you guys don't know anything else?
Does anybody have any
I'm
questions?
sorry, I froze. Did anybody?
We can hear you.
I'm sorry, I froze for some reason. So leader, I did catch most of your answer there. So you talked earlier about all the mentors in your life. So what are some of the things, because now you're a mentor, and what are some of those things you've taken away that you're sharing with that next generation of youth now?
Like I said, one thing I value the most is just those relationships. So being able to build these relationships with these kids, not only on the basketball court, most of the time I'm with them, it's basketball, but I actually get to spend that time with these kids off the court and when they're just being kids. So building a relationship. And that's my favorite time to build a relationship with them. In the quads, when they're just chilling, watching TV, or in their rooms. So I'd say my favorite thing is just being able to build those relationships with them.
And I would think to build those relationships, it takes a lot of trust. Because I know
Definitely.
working at the Boys and Girls Club, sometimes it takes a little bit of time to build that trust.
Definitely. And a lot of these kids, they deal with a lot at home. So being able to come here is like an outlet for them. So they get that opportunity to, finally express how they're feeling or to decompress. Like I said, sometimes it's just a getaway for them to be at school.
Right.
Because they're dealing with so much at home. So.
Right. Keep doing what you're doing. You guys are doing wonderful things there. And Devin, I promise this is my last question. So ultimately, what do you see yourself doing? What would you like to do? I know you're enjoying yourself at CSA right now, but do you know what you ultimately want to do?
I always thought about coaching. Coaching was always on my mind. I actually had the opportunity to stay at University of Illinois and be basically a student coach, a grad assistant.
Right.
But I didn't want to stay out there. It's definitely different out there. It's a college town. So I felt like once I graduated, it was like I didn't want to be there and then have to live a regular life and still be in that element. But I think I definitely want to coach. I definitely want to. I don't know at what level, high school or college. But I think coaching is in my future.
I hear there may be an opening at TCA pretty soon.
Yeah, but the only thing with coaching there is just it'll have to be something else on the side.
No, yeah, I understood.
Yeah. So I don't know. Weighing my options. Actually, one of my coaches, they're actually coaching at Rutgers Prep, and he's been calling me for about 2 years now, trying to get me to leave here and come up there and coach with him. But just it's going to be tough to leave this.
Sure.
We have our own 3-bedroom apartment. They're paying for everything, and it's actually I like the job, so
right.
It's going to be tough to walk away from this.
I hear you.
Yeah.
I'm gonna shut up in case the other guys have other questions.
I don't have any questions.
I'm good, so.
Everybody good?
Yep.
All right, close this out, Doug.
We just wanted to take a moment to thank the audience, our special speaker, and all of our special guests tonight. And I hope to see you all next week right here at 7:30.
Thanks, leader.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys.
Thanks, Khalid.
All right.
Hold on, guys.
Yeah, could we actually stay on for a second?
Okay.
All right, guys. Just us. Hold 1 second.